I'm going to give this Facebook Live another whirl, see what happens. So how's everybody doing today?
Pretty good. It's great to see the sunshine.
Yeah, that's certainly true.
It's a little warmer.
Yeah, I think maybe it will continue to be that way for a little bit.
A lot of blue sky today. Beautiful. After a hard frost.
Maybe one more hard frost. You know, I've lived in this area or in the East Coast for all my life just about, and it's always been true from my experience that you never plant before Memorial Day in the East Coast. And days like these last few days are good reminders of that.
That's for sure.
As much as we want to hurry things along, nature's going to do the way it wants to do it. So kind of sharing from that point, let's see if I can get, there we go. You know, this idea of appreciating what we have, regardless of what it is, that's really the point of meditation. And unfortunately, we don't a lot of us don't approach meditation with that idea in mind. And a lot of times they're not taught with that notion. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that today, because I know that just about every one of us, myself included, have entertained thoughts these last few months of not wanting this. And every single one of us thinking, even if we were to think simultaneously, all together, the whole world not wanting this, we'd still have this. So what do we do in that case? So here's a potential tactic. I found this, well, I was looking for some stories to kind of relate to our experience, and I came across this story of a woman Zen master from Japan about 200 years ago, so probably like late 1800s. And she had this one particular style of practice that she was really well known for. And I tried to look up more information about her, and I've not been able to so far, but she was Zen Master Sono. And there's this little story that is associated with her. And that's that one day Zen Master Sono was visited by a very prominent public official who was living in a constant state of agitation and anger and could find no peace of mind. Having heard about her ability to guide people to peace and enlightenment, the man traveled very far to see Zen Master Sono and explained his predicament to her. "What can I do to put my heart at rest?" he asked her sincerely. She replied with the same advice that she had given hundreds of others looking for relief from their restless minds. "Every morning and every evening, and no matter what happens to you, keep on saying, 'Thank you for everything. I have no complaint whatsoever.'" The man went home and did what he was instructed to do, only to find that after a year, he was just as unhappy as he'd always been. Feeling great despair, he went back to see Zen Master Sono, telling her, "I've said your prayer for over a year and nothing in my life has changed. I'm still the same selfish, miserable person as before. What should I do now?" Sono looked at him deeply and immediately said, "Thank you very much. I have no complaint whatsoever." This time, upon hearing these words, the man was enlightened and returned home filled with great joy. So this Zen Master Sono had that this saying of "thank you for everything, I have no complaint whatsoever" was her awakening phrase. It was her mantra. And after her awakening, this was her teaching. Just like, you know, every Zen master ends up developing their own style of teaching. We had Sung San teaching Don't Know, and we have Suzuki Roshi teaching Beginner's Mind. Every Zen master develops kind of a teaching phrase. And so Zen Master Sono's was, "Thank you for everything. I have no complaint whatsoever." And yet people would come to her and get this teaching, and some people would be let down or get angry. Some would try to argue with her. Yet the people who took her suggestion, her mantra to heart and began to practice that mantra would find peace and healing in their lives. And I found this verse, and I'm not sure if this is something she said. It was associated with one of the stories I found about her. And it says, "Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize that nothing is lacking, the whole world belongs to you." And I thought this was a good story to relate to our experience now, and some explanation of how we're supposed to reconcile the challenges we have with these moments and these things that are going on around us right now, and kind of relate back to what Zen Master Sono is offering when she says, "Thank you for everything. I have no complaints whatsoever." Those of you who know Venerable Wanji, his phrase is "it's all good," which, you know, really encapsulates what Zen Master Sono is teaching in her story here. So I think most of you who have been coming to the group and have listened to me talk have heard and understand that the sitting meditation that we practice is a way for us to learn how to be fully here. And we've also talked about other activities that can be performed as meditation to accomplish the same end. The discipline that we talk about with meditation is a specific kind of discipline, because it's a personal and it's a concrete, specific type of discipline. It can take many different forms, but they're all of our different forms of meditation practice is about this discipline that helps us to learn how to be here. And when we are able to bring ourselves fully here, that is where we start to encounter the feelings of joy, the true kind of joy, not just conditional happiness, but the kind of joy that is selfless, expansive, unlimited, and always accessible. And when we meet this joy in our discipline of meditation, then we awaken to really a sense of what it is to be truly alive. And, you know, Joseph Campbell would always argue that all of the religions, all of the different rituals and ceremonies and all the things that are associated with religion and myth, all of that is simply for us to learn how to be fully alive. And so meditation as a discipline is no different. If we are fully here, then we can be nothing but fully alive. But unfortunately, most of us are only partly alive. We are caught up in this kind of virtual reality in our minds and constantly at war with ourselves in regard to how we meet experience. And, you know, this case in point, the difficulty that many of us are facing with the struggle of not wanting what's happening. And we lose our life in battling against the way our reality is unfolding before us. The more we resist and fight against it, the less alive we become. So one of the reasons I think why meditation practice itself can be so difficult is because we really are not applying anything, and we're not trying to get anything. And if we do, then we just continue to practice the same kind of virtual reality that we've been practicing all along. So being able to let go of the process of selfing and altering our experience to meet the way we perceive them or want to perceive them, we lose out on this amazing gift that the practice can give to us, which is simply encountering life as it is, the life that we are living in our bodies as it is. I think when we feel bad or we don't like the feeling that we're having, then we start to shift and want something out of our meditation. And that's veering off course again, because it's not a matter of liking or not liking. As uncomfortable as the feelings that we may be experiencing can be, liking or not liking really has no place in the experience that we're having. And if we use meditation to create a rosy colored view of our lives, then we're just pretending that everything is fine and actually, again, not living life fully. Living life fully is to meet pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral with equanimity and not pushing away from any of it. How many of us have ever done that? You know, how many of us have even ever realized that we do that? You know, and so that's the challenge. And I know a lot of people have come to me, a lot of people come to meditation groups for this idea of escaping the difficulties and the challenges that they may be feeling internally. And that's great because it brings them to a practice where they can learn to let go a lot of the burdens that they're carrying, that are creating the problems. But as I've said before, many of you have heard me say that put down the goal of escaping stress, put down the idea that you just want to have a better life, put down that you just want to enjoy things more. Because if you just learn to do the practice, all that stuff will take care of itself. But that's hard, because how can you trust me? Some of us don't even know how to trust ourselves. And so we have to get past some of those hurdles. And I think that's why Zen Master Sono's mantra was kind of really touched me, because that notion of just saying thank you for everything, I have no complaint whatsoever, becomes a powerful mantra when you realize that we are just welcoming the life that we are experiencing in this moment, rather than continuing the war against ourselves or the reality around us. So let's try to forget about, achieving a particular state of mind or a way to engage in positive thinking. Really, we can say meditation's a good thing to do, but don't suppress difficult or uncomfortable feelings or questions. Don't cling to warm, comfortable, joyous feelings. Just embrace all of it as it appears. We don't have to build ourselves up into anything. We already are what we need to be. We just have to learn, I think, through this practice, the appreciation that comes with being fully alive. So what is this appreciation then? Chogyam Trungpa said it's acknowledging yourself as a person who is committed to the practice of meditation and to the basic mindfulness and awareness that rise from the practice and continue throughout the rest of your life. It is simple appreciation of a sense of being. So our meditation can be kind of broken down into 4 steps. 1, we acknowledge that we're sitting, we're practicing the meditation. When we are aware that we are sitting, we are watching our bodies and our thoughts, so we are practicing mindfulness. Then we arrive at understanding that we are here. And the 4th and final step is that's enough. We don't need anything else. Once we understand and realize that we are here, there's nothing more to do. We've got it all, and we are now fully alive. The problem, I think, with this is that we have been so trained to want more, and our limbic system, really desires that. So the idea that just realizing that you are fully here is being enough for the limbic system, no, there's always got to be more. Deeper states of meditation, higher levels of consciousness, special powers, all the kinds of things the limbic system is telling us we should try for once we've gotten to this place of enough. So I want to elaborate just a little bit on each of these 4 steps. So the first, very simple, we are sitting here. When we begin our meditation, I usually lead us into recognizing that our body is sitting, wherever we're sitting, noticing the sounds around us, the sensation of our body sitting. All of these things are important because a lot of us are always trying to live a little bit outside of our bodies. And so if we can begin our meditation reminding ourselves that we are only in our bodies, we're not a little bit outside our bodies. And one of the ways for us to realize that is to notice that our body is sitting here and experiencing sensations through the different sense organs So there's no special magical quality that takes over us at this point. We are just simply sitting on the earth. We are aware of our physical surroundings. We are aware of our mental awareness. And we know that we are sitting where we're sitting. Even when we continue and our mind wanders, we also know that our body is still right where it was. It hasn't wandered away. So we may have to do more skill building and keeping our minds present as we begin to practice our meditation. But we have no fear or we have no need to entertain fear that our body will be anywhere but where it is when we start. So some of the ways, you know, it's always tricky when we try to develop a practice of meditation because we think that we need to create different kinds of steps to a final goal. And we can kind of do that in the beginning because we might need to practice a little bit more on how to keep and maintain our awareness. But really, the only thing we need to do is just sit. We don't really need to worry about our posture. We just sit. It's simple. If we sit with the idea that we're waiting for something to happen, then we're shifting back into the future, not really staying right where we are. So then we just have to keep coming back to reorient ourselves to the present, come back to our body. When we are doing that, when we are realizing our mind is slipping away and we bring ourselves back to the body, then we move into that second aspect of our practice, which is practicing mindfulness. Because now we are sensing where we are, and then we notice when we start to slip away from where we are. We pay attention to our breathing. That keeps us focused on the present. And we remember that we're sitting here. We feel our body. We begin to notice the kinds of thoughts that run through our mind. All of these kinds of things are our practice of mindfulness. So in a way, it's no more complicated than that. We don't have to do or embellish anymore. We just sit and we just watch. And that's really all. Really, I like that Trungpa Rinpoche would say that when we sit to meditate, we have two choices. One, we just do it, or two, wait for something to happen. And if we just do it, then we're complete. If we wait for something to happen, then we're always opening up to the possibility that we'll be disappointed. Because sometimes really nothing happens because nothing's happening. And if we try to wait for something to happen, then we start to forget why we're here, and then there's this thing we got to chase. So it really is one option, which is just do it. If we get to that place where we're just here, then we enter into that third aspect of being here now. We become practiced in what it means to be present. We let go of having the need for reference points because we are in this place of we no longer have to choose anything. We simply are where we are. We're doing what we're doing. There is no past, there's no present, there's no future. There's just what we are. This is, for Buddhism, this is kind of the central point, particularly of Zen, is to live from this place. This is the realization of both and. We are living the absolute and the relative, neither in opposition nor in one preference to the other. We are experiencing both and. And when we arrive at this place of full present, full nowness, this being here, in the beginning, some of us may find it uncomfortable because we are so conditioned to think about the future or ruminate over the past or compare the present with the past and use the present to make the future. And until we get used to the fact that all of that other stuff is made up and that there really is only just this nowness, then we will begin to become more comfortable with what it means to be there. You know, a lot of times it's not comfortable to be fully now because in the world that we live in, it's demanding and it's direct, it's authentic. I mean, everything we surround ourselves in our lives is artificial. Being fully present, being fully in this nowness is the only authenticity that we will ever encounter in our life. Anything outside of that is artificial. And we've gotten comfortable with artificial. So when we encounter authentic, we may feel compelled to retreat from it because it's powerful and it's rare. But once we are able to let go of that fear, that apprehension, then we understand that being fully in the now is what peace is. That's what peace is. It's the experience of the simplicity of being fully alive. And, you know, we have to be careful of equating that sense of peace with these kind of elevated intellectual or emotional aspects of peace, you know, peace on earth, you know, peace between warring nations. Those are the artificial applications in an artificial world. The kind of peace that I'm referencing is the peace that comes from being alive completely and fully in the moment. And there's really no way to describe that peace because we all encounter it individually. The other wonderful thing about arriving fully here is that then you realize that there's nothing else you need. There's simply just being here, being whole, being in your body. You are a being alive. Once you realize that, there is really nothing more that needs to be added. But we're so used to complicating things, so we make it hard. Then we make it into a demanding practice, and we make it into a practice of bravery, and we make it into a practice of being heroic. And hopefully, as more of us begin to experience what it's like to be fully alive, then it will no longer be an act of bravery and heroism, but really mundane and average. And that would be wonderful because then the majority of us would be living that way and not in all of the artificial layers of virtual realities that we like to, and many of us not even realize, apply to every moment of experience that we have. So if we can just get to this place of appreciation for just simply the wonderful gift of sitting down and just being with whatever is here. We'll have already achieved all of what we would want in life and more. We would find that there was really less than what we seem to feel we need to be whole. We already are whole. We just haven't experienced that wholeness without the layering that we encounter now and have been taught and are reinforced just about every waking moment. So for today's meditation, I wanted to get us into a space of potentially realizing, if even for a fleeting moment, that sense of being alive. And one of the ways to do that is just to kind of entertain what this sense of equanimity would be like. The equanimity that Zen Master Sono says when she replies that, thank you for everything. I have no complaint whatsoever. Wouldn't it be a wonderful gift to be able to say that and really mean it regardless of what we're experiencing in the moment? That idea that every moment we have the ability to be here alive in our bodies is the greatest gift that we could ever have wished for. So with this meditation, let me be the voice to guide you into your body, and then see if you can be in your body and just let go of needing anything else. So to start, get into a comfortable, relaxed position. So a lot of times we talk about proper position and all of the different ways that we should rest our body. That's wonderful. But today, let's just relax about that. Let's just sit in whatever way feels comfortable for the moment. And as you kind of find yourself settling into a comfortable seated position, just take a moment to scan through your body, kind of just check in from the end of your toes all the way up to your head and the tips of your fingers. And just see what you're starting with. Where might your body be stiff? Where might your body feel relaxed? What is your heartbeat feel like? What's the rhythm of your breathing? Just become focused on the body just as it is, right from where you're starting. So take a few moments here now to steady the mind by bringing our focus into our breath. And just watch the breath as it moves in, and watch the breath as it moves out. Notice the breath as it forces the belly to move up, and then as you breathe out, the belly sinks in towards the spine. And then watch the breath as the chest rises with each inhalation. and then falls as the body expels the air. And as we continue to watch our body, just be mindful of any sensations that you're experiencing. And we could just simply label whatever sensation that we notice as pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Just kind of develop a sense of impartiality toward whatever arises. Let that impartiality be at ease, a relaxed, kind of undisturbed awareness. Nothing that arises is too big. Our inner awareness is expansive and can accommodate everything. See what it feels like to accept or just allow yourself to be at peace with whatever arises. And with this acceptance, just let your mind become increasingly quiet and steady as the attention toward your body and breath is collected. Notice the sounds that come into the ear. Sounds come and go. Notice that we don't need to do anything to hear. We just hear what appears. We don't need to be caught by anything or anyone's sound. We are just awareness listening. And just like our hearing, our body senses. And so we become aware of sensations that rise, sensations that fade. So just sense without being caught by anything that's sensed. Just feel what you feel. Just be awareness feeling. With that same awareness, we can notice thoughts that run through our mind. Think without being aware of any one thought. Just let thought run through the mind. Think without being caught by what is thought. Just be awareness, observing thought. Notice how pleasant feelings arise and go. Notice how unpleasant feelings arise and go. And notice neutral feelings arise and move on. No matter what we sense is pleasant or unpleasant or neutral, we see they are constantly changing. They are not a reliable foundation to build a life of joy and happiness upon. Notice the passing thoughts and emotions without confusing your identity with them. There's no need to own any one thought or emotion. Just become aware of the thoughts as they pass and the feelings and emotions as they appear without the need to react. Become awareness, watching thoughts and feelings. Now allow a little bit of a disengagement with what appears in your mind and body. Notice less tilting toward pleasure, less pulling away from pain or unpleasant. Just let pleasant be pleasant with no reactions needed. Let unpleasant be just the unpleasant with no reactions needed. Let the neutral just be the neutral with no reactions needed. Let awareness become the awareness of no preference. Rest as awareness. Free yourself from reactions. Rest in this place of equanimity. Breath after breath, at ease. See if you can allow yourself to settle in this place of equanimity, sensing all that appears and holding to nothing. You might sense in this space a sublime freedom, a subtle sense of contentment, even perhaps some peace. Take a moment to open your eyes and just see what your eyes see. Let visual sensations be part of your equanimity. Explore the mind of no preference for whatever appears in your vision. Whether it's pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Just let sight be what it is. If you like, for the rest of this meditation, you can keep your eyes open or closed. And see if you can maintain this mind of no preference in relation to the body and to the sensations, regardless of whether they are pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Just let everything be just as it is, as it appears. Becoming a little more aware of the body as it sits. Letting your awareness notice the sounds and sensations around you. Before we end the meditation, just take a moment to think about these words and see if you can bring them down to the heart. Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize that nothing is lacking, the whole world belongs to you. And see if throughout the rest of the evening and even into your day tomorrow, recall this meditation and what it feels like to open up to equanimity into your presence. And see if you can share that with your experiences and with people and situations. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes and be more engaged with the screen in front of you. And maybe even continue to hold that sense of equanimity even as we shift activities. So are there any questions or observations anyone want to share?
How do you spell Zen Master Sono? How do you spell Sono?
SONO,
Okay.
at least as I found. I've only did a little bit of cursory searching. I haven't found much. So I have to do some digging because it's possible that that might not be the correct spelling, and so that's why I'm limited. But what I found so far was SONO.
Yeah. What if that could work area, what area of research would it be?
What area of research?
Yeah,
Well, like I said, it was cursory. It was just online right now.
yeah. Oh, okay.
Just kind of typing in the name and seeing what I could pull up. And what I pulled up was the same kind of story over and over, just told in different ways.
I see.
I got to turn towards some of the books. I don't have a lot of references for Japanese Zen. So it'll just take me a little longer to kind of acquire some of that stuff.
Very good.
Unfortunately, there's just so little written about any female Zen masters that, you know, I was kind of surprised I even happened upon that. But it's something that I and many of the people in the Lotus Heart Zen Sangha are trying to rectify. So
Oh, I see.
more we get. Is she in there? Chris?
Oh, in our book?
Possibly, but it'd be under a different, there's something that might be phonetically sounding the
Right,
same.
yeah. It could be a different, slightly
But
different
I have to
spelling.
look it up.
Yeah. As we get more, I'll share more. So. Any other questions or observations? Well, I hope you all can kind of remember that when we connect to that essential, true essence of what it is to be alive, there really is nothing more that's required. And I wish that each one of you can get at least a moment of that realization. Once you're able to engage with the world fully alive, that's where the real magic and miracles take place. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to experience more of that together and as a human species. So Friday, I'll be doing a teaching, beginning a teaching on the basic foundational teachings of what became known as Buddhism. And I'll be starting with the Four Noble Truths. And Friday, I'll talk about the first noble truth, which is that there is dukkha, or what is oftentimes translated as suffering. But we'll kind of elaborate on what that really means, this word dukkha. And then Saturday, that's at 7 p.m. on Friday. And then Saturday, I'll be leading another meditation. I'm going to be talking about mantra practice as a meditation. And that will be 10:30 on Saturday. And then you're all, some of you are regular practitioners, but you're all welcome to join us on Sunday for Zen practice, where we do some chanting and some meditation, and we discuss a reading. So you're all welcome. And all of that, all the links for that can be found on our Facebook page or in the email that clearly you have all gotten because you're here. So I hope to see you all in one of those or all of those things. And until then, please be well and take good care of yourselves. And thank you for joining tonight.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.